right. All right. Welcome to Community Connect with Gerwin and Pash. How you doing, Gerwin?
I'm doing great, Pash. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's Pi Day. Happy Pi Day.
Oh my gosh, someone said that today. I couldn't believe I didn't realize or forgot it was Pi Day. So happy Pi Day to you, my friend. Did you celebrate at 1:59 today?
I did not. Don't even know what that means.
You know,
No. What does that mean?
because that's pi 3.14159.
Oh, see, we didn't study that in fourth grade. It was
Yeah.
just 3.14. That was it.
There you go. There you go. So
cool. What's anything new and exciting since our last
back in Rochester? So 3 cities in three weeks, I guess. So here we are, but made it back. Had a good time in down visiting some friends in Charleston last week. So that was great. And boy, nothing new. Just back at it. So what about yourself?
Yeah, lots of exciting things going on in the backdrop. We're just blessed. We got a lot of things that are going in upward trajectory. And I've really been looking forward to having our conversation with Carrie Macrillo today. So if there's no other updates, we'll just get right into the fun stuff and talk to Carrie.
That sounds good to me.
All right. So let me just give a little background here. Carrie is the owner of Radiant You Wellness, LLC. Her passion is bringing holistic wellness and trauma-informed yoga opportunities to her. I'm sure I'm gonna mess up some pronunciations here, but her Sangha, the community or the family, and she can correct me when she comes on air. Through her own healing journey, Carrie has taken what she has learned and brought that knowledge to her community. Her love and wisdom of energy healing, essential oils, yoga, another word, Ayurvedics, along with her intuitive abilities, has helped her to create the yoga and wellness studio that's in Palmyra, New York. She uses her education to help her clients realize the potential within themselves to release what no longer serves them, allowing the ability for divine love to come through, connecting you in mind, body, and spirit. So without further ado, here's Carrie. Hey, welcome to.
Hey, Pash. Hey, Gerwin. Good job on the pronunciations.
Did I do okay?
You did. Yeah.
Help me with the last one. Ayurvedic.
Sangha.
Okay,
yeah, Ayurvedics. And then Sangha is community in Sanskrit. So yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Mm-hmm. What is Ayurvedics?
Ayurvedics is like the sister science behind yoga. So it's like an Indian medicine, like natural holistic healing. So it's the science really to like the yoga. So it's just a cool addition to it. And there's a lot of different things that you can do with it and add it on, you know.
Awesome. So Carrie, on the show, the show's all about is connecting our community, right? Letting people know that there's certain things available, right? It's the concept and the idea is pure, and we're energetic about it. So it's been like the side effect of this is when we meet these folks like yourself, I think the story of the individual and how they got to even where they are is as intriguing as anything else. So if you don't mind, tell us a little about yourself and how you got to where you are now.
Yeah. So really, I think it starts with like, I've worked in corporate America for 18 plus years, you know what I mean? And not only that, but seeing like how everybody hustles in the hustle culture that we have with that corporate America job, right? Is how do we find time for self-care, number one. And then also just trauma, like everybody has trauma, big T, little t, we call it, right? There's some kind of form of trauma. And for me, it was about learning ways to help heal myself so that I can then in turn help share that with others. Anything that I teach or do is something that I've incorporated into myself first, because that like the experience in itself is what's going to be able to help me show other people why this is good for you, you know, whether it's yoga, energetics, Ayurvedics, like essential oils. There's so many different things that we can do nowadays. And in a world where, you know, the food we eat and certain things that we have around us and where we live, like all of those things affect our daily lives, you know? So really trying to find ways to help people incorporate health that doesn't feel so overwhelming at times. And that yoga is for everybody. You don't have to be in these perfect, what we call asanas or poses to be able to do yoga. You know, I tell people you come into my studio and you need to sit in child's pose the whole class. sit in child's pose the whole class. Like, it's your choice. We just flow and move, and you can choose to flow and move with us, you know? Giving people choice is just very important to me, because like the trauma piece, where when you're in certain poses, like we hold trauma inside our bodies. So in our hips, for women especially, we hold that there. So when you're doing certain hip opening poses, it can lead to emotional releases. So if people aren't ready for that, and the teacher isn't ready for that, then you're not there to help guide them through it. And I want to be somebody who helps not only guide them through the physicality of it, but the emotional aspect of it too.
Awesome.
And then, like for me, like the corporate America hustle was a lot. So it's like I started Rate New Wellness a few years ago, out of like a smaller location that I'm at now. And I built it along the way. And eventually there was a point in time as my kids grew that I decided to leave corporate America and really just like a month or two ago, like start doing this full time, because it wasn't that I hated my job or anything like that. I loved what I did. I ran, as a product owner analyst at Paychex for an IT team. So I loved using my analytical brain, but it wasn't where my passion lied. Like they all knew, like when I left, like this is where I was going, because I shared who I was there on this aspect of my life just as much as I did on the analytical product owner side of my life.
And I think that's what, from talking with you, most people's story about transitioning from a job or career to this new one is like because they despise what they were doing. And what was actually interesting is that is not the case for you. You actually enjoyed what you were doing, but this is more like, what would you say this is more of then? Is it more of a calling?
Yeah, it's a total calling. Like, I know that I was put on this earth to help people. I know that I was put on this earth to be of service. And so where that service has led me is in the holistic healing and in the Ayurvedics and in the, yoga and all of that. But it's just kind of really looking at the big picture of where everybody's at and where you want to go. Because you hear people all the time, like, I hate my job, or I hate this, or I hate that. And it's like, when we focus on the negative too, like to me, like the universe doesn't understand positive or negative, right? It just brings you back more of what you're focusing on. So if I'm going to focus on all the things that I hate or I don't like or I don't want, then the universe is going to bring more of that to me, right? And so for me, it was like I had the ability to have this job that was able to build the foundation for my business, right? And so it just became a point where time became my money, right? Like I was running a full-time business, working a 40+ hour a week job, and I was raising kids as a single parent, so it's like where time was my thing. And it just became a point where, I had a lot of support behind me, and it was like, it's time. Like I've been saying it for years. My friends laugh because it's like, we say, like, once I did it, I was like, part of me is like, I should have done it years ago. Right. Because that fear is there of like taking this risk and doing something on your own. And especially when you're a single parent and you have other people that you have to like take care of. But at the end of the day, I knew that if I didn't take this chance on myself, then I would be missing out on so much more that life has to offer and that I have to offer this world.
Awesome.
I love that.
Thank you.
So as we now go into the actual, your business, then,
yeah.
And I know you kind of glossed over like a lot of it. Which aspect, if there's a separation, I'm not sure if it all just kind of goes together in the holistic viewpoint, but what offerings for someone who might be like just starting to explore this, because not everyone takes time to consider themselves and all that sort of. So what advice or starting point would you recommend?
Breathing, meditation, like, and we'll do a little bit at the end, but like when we're stressed, our breath goes here. We do not breathe, right? And so, or when we're in the day-to-day, right? When our mind is so busy that we're like focused on everything else and we're not focused within, like we don't breathe appropriately. And when we don't breathe appropriately, it causes more anxiety. And I'm somebody who comes from anxiety and depression, right? So like the things that I do help so many things, not just my passion, right? It helps me in so many other ways to like, just like working out, right? Like it builds those endorphins. Like it just, I don't know. It's just something that not only am I passionate about, but it really helps me in so many other ways, especially when I was working a, 40+ hour a week, full-time job and running a business. Like you're running from place to place, doing so many things. I needed something that grounded me. I needed something that slowed me down. I needed something that centered me. And so for me, it was meditation. Essential oils was like my intro to it. and then like became the energy healing. Yoga really came later in my journey. But it was such an integral part in myself that I had to incorporate, because if we're people that have come from trauma, a lot of times we live outside our body, right? It's not comfortable to be in our body. And so when we start to sink into our body, it can be nerve-wracking. Things can come up. We can be triggered. It can be scary. And so when we start with things that are simple as breathing, when you get to that point, you can take yourself back to the breath. Right? We can always, always, always take ourselves back to the breath, whether it's I'm about to go run a meeting or, be on this or do something else, right? It's like, okay, just breathe, like take a couple seconds and breathe. And we forget to all the time,
Right.
Yeah,
no, I can relate to that. How about you, Greg? You ever had those ones?
It's like me, Carrie. You've been watching me at work or something. I don't know.
Right.
But yeah, it's I often I think find myself if I'm anxious or I'm worried in particular, right, about a meeting or a conversation, or I'm prepping for a conversation that I know might be difficult. My breaths are either short or altogether just non-existent.
Right.
And over the years, I've at least become partially aware of it, but not every time. And I know I do it more than I catch myself doing it. So, do you have tips and tricks on how to become self-aware of when you need to take that breath, and when maybe to slow down and take that extra second?
Yeah, like in all reality, when we're running from thing to thing to thing, take 5 minutes. Like sometimes it's like scheduling 5 minutes in my calendar to pause, to like take 5 minutes to breathe, because when whether we're running our own business, we're in a job, it doesn't matter. We are on go, and then we become on autopilot a lot of times, right? So it's like, I know it sounds dorky, but putting a reminder in your phone that like says pop up at like noon, like, okay, because it's like I can delay that, but it's going to pop up again. And I can delay it, but it's going to pop up again until I actually do it. Right.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't, and people don't realize it doesn't take 30, 40 minutes. It's like 2 minutes, 2 minutes of focused breath and breathing into the belly, like we'll do later. Like, it calms you, it centers you, it grounds you, it helps your circulation, it helps with so many different things, And so for me, who's somebody who can get anxious very easily, it allows me to like ground in and center in.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But schedule time, to me, it's like scheduling time. We're on our phones constantly. Why not schedule self-care into our phones?
Right. Yep. Absolutely.
Well, and like before we came on air, before we even got on together for the prepping here, I basically did that, but I didn't know what I was doing. And I don't know that I took the breathing. I just stopped. I was like, I just got to sit for a second. I got to sit for a second and just like wash out all my other experiences of the day, good or bad, indifferent, doesn't matter, but just so much other stuff. And I just had to go, okay, and actually, Greg, I think, horrible tie into soccer refereeing, but what we used to do is we would have a busy day at work and then you go referee a soccer game. And one of the things that we learned through our training was from some very experienced referees was when you're getting out of your car, leave all the stuff that is at your house, at your job, whatever, leave it in the car, close the door, and now go ref the game, because the last thing you want is the participants of that game, to be the victims of your disposition from other stuff. So,
right.
So I just kind of did that before we started. I just stopped. I thought about, and now when you show us how to do the breathing properly, which again was kind of fun to me because I did that as a teacher. I do this with kids to calm them down, but I don't know that I've ever really done it for myself. So.
Right. And I run that, like when I start any yoga class that I start, we start with breathing, right? We start about sinking into the body if it's comfortable for you, because again, with trauma, it's not always comfortable for everybody to sink in. So like to just leave whatever's going on outside. I love that. The other thing I call it is being present, right? Being present in all of our interactions. You go out to dinner and you see everybody on your phone. Nobody's present anymore. So that like shutting the door and leaving everything in your car is then you're going and being present in that thing that you're doing. So being present, whether you're having a conversation or you're on the, like on a call or doing work or whatever it is, like being present in that moment is super important too, because unfortunately, like if you did have a bad day, if you're not and you don't leave that out there, you're bringing it in. You are, and so yeah, so it's like if they come in here and they've had a really rough day, a few minutes of breathing, sinking in, grounding in, like lets them at least have that release, even if it's for that little bit of time that they're here,
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. So Greg, did you have another question right now? Or?
I was just going to say, what's step 2 then, right? From breathing, right? So
Yep.
let's say I put it in my calendar. I get real good at not snoozing that, that twice a day 2-minute breathing time. And I'm like, man, this is great, but I want the next level of awareness,
Movement.
mindfulness.
Yeah.
What does that look like now?
That would be movement.
Movement. I see. I knew it. I was gonna be like, man, I shouldn't ask this question because I sit for 8, 9, 10 hours a day at my desk. So all right.
Right. Well, and so like that was one thing, like at Paychecks, like when we were in person, because I got to a point where I was home, right? I worked from home. We created a little room where people could go in and do yoga, where people could go in and listen to meditative music, where people could go in, and I had a couple bottles of essential oils, right? Because even when like getting up from your desk and doing desk stretches, and we could do another one on like chair yoga, right? There's things that you can do that's movement, whether it's getting up and standing up and stretching your legs, stretching your arms, like, doing a couple movements. Some people walk around, right? But movement is also just as important, because then we become stagnant, right? It's like you driving in a car for, a destination, you get out and you're like, oh, I'm so stiff, right? If we don't do yoga, like for me, it's like if I don't do yoga every day, or I don't have some kind of movement every day, I'm getting older. My body gets stiff, right? So it's like movement is, I would say, is my second thing. And to that, movement is also like settling, right? Because just as important as the movement is, like one of the things for me that became really important, in all honesty, probably before the movement, because I was in such that like hustle culture, was like restorative yoga, which is really like you lay in a pose for 5 to 10 minutes, right? And you kind of like meditate, and then you move to another pose, and each pose kind of has a benefit for itself. But it allowed me to like slow down. So I would say like it kind of depends, like they go like hand in hand, I think, depending on where we are in our life, right? But that movement and that slowdown are both important, if that makes sense.
So should we take a chance and learn how to breathe?
Yeah. You want to?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. So you can either, like, again, I always say you can close your eyes. You can keep your eyes open. Palms can always be on. If you're sitting up or you're laying down, you can lay down, sit up, but we're sitting up, so we're going to go with that. Palms can be face up. Palms can be face down. Or I like to have one hand on my chest, one hand on my upper abdomen or near your diaphragm, right? Because this one that we're going to do, I want you to feel that belly expand and contrast, right? So we're going to take a deep breath in, and we can count to 5. So breathe in through the nose for a count of 5. And exhale through the mouth for the same amount. In through the nose. Out through the mouth. And just continue doing that. And as you continue doing that, feel that belly, if you have your hand on there, expand and contrast as you inhale and you exhale. And breathing in through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. That slow and steady breath. We'll do 3 more. Last one, deep inhale in through the nose. Then exhale through the mouth. Just bring your hands to your lap for a moment, taking just a second. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Like you feel that calmness, right? Like I, even as I lead people through it, feel that centering, like the nerves that come in for, being on the podcast, they're doing it like they're gone, It's a great way. Again, 2 minutes. You don't need a lot of time. Just focus on the breath.
It was interesting. I became very aware of other things as well, like even just how the floor was under my feet, or like
Yes.
my neck. I was like, that hurt.
Yes. Yes.
It just gave me time to actually feel different things.
So when we do this in yoga, like when I start out with them focusing on their breath, we tune them into that, right? How does your body feel? Where do you feel tightness in your body? Where do we need to soften today? Where do we need to realize our strength, right? Like, because every pose has softness and strength. And not only that, but just within internally. Yoga to me isn't about the asanas and what's out here. Yoga is all about what's in here. I don't care what everybody's doing next to me, right? I care how I'm feeling and what I need in my body in that moment in that class.
Yeah.
Nice. So that was awesome, by the way. Like,
Thank you.
I feel better.
Thank you. Thank you for doing that with me.
No, thanks for letting you just taught us something that we can, learn to incorporate.
Right.
So I know there's a lot of other things we could demonstrate and all that. And I think for today, we'll leave it at that. But let's talk about what you got coming up. I know you got some exciting things coming up soon. And I'd love for you to just explain that to us and tell us how people can get involved if they'd like to.
Yeah, so we're doing a solar return retreat, April 5th through the 7th, which is right before the solar eclipse. And it's going to be at Light in the Hill in New York. We are offering weekend passes. So it's 3 days, but we're also offering 1 night, 1 day. And again, like I want people to be able to come. So it's like if people need payment plans, if people need ways to be able to come, like contact me. Like at the end of the day, like this is what I know I need this. So I know other people need this, right? And it's a weekend to be and have meditation. We're going to do yoga, meditation, sound healing. We're going to do a cacao ceremony, a fire ceremony, nature walks, journaling, free time, just a lot of things. And people can come and go as they want. They can join or just take time to themselves. Just a weekend of disconnecting. There's not really great cell reception where we're going. So it's kind of a nice way to unplug, but not only unplug, but either learn these modalities. You don't have to have done yoga a day in your life to be able to come join us. We teach so that you can learn yoga, whether you're an expert or a first day newbie, So we want people to just be able to come and experience the effects of what holistic healing and these modalities have to offer. So you can reach out on the website. There's a lot of information out there. My email's out there too. People can contact me that way, but I'm here for questions or anything anybody needs.
Right.
That's awesome. And there was a word in there. I didn't know what it was. I think you said cacao.
Yeah, cacao. So it's literally like cocoa, right? But it's Peruvian ceremonial. So it's like it's gathered in a certain way. It's depending on where you get it from, because you can get it from Peru or you can get it from different areas, but you use it. It's more of a ceremony, right? And so you can mix it with water, you can mix it with milk, and then you kind of don't go through this meditation and you connect to it. And cacao, which it has healing benefits, right? There it does help calm people. That's why like a lot of people crave chocolate, right? But it's also pure. There's no sugar in it, right? It's like it's natural. Sometimes they might add cinnamon or turmeric or something like that to it, but it's a great meditative way and to like also take that experience of the cacao plant and like connect to that and understand a little bit of the healing and where that comes from, specifically to what we'll be drinking that weekend.
That's cool. Sorry.
The fact that it's solar, by the way, and no one can see your flyer. I've seen it. Solar, SOULAR, right? Soul. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. It's a return to self, right? Like we get so busy with life, we forget about self-care, self included, right? So this is just a great way of people that I love and that I connect with, all coming together to just share what we came on this planet to do.
Yeah, what I find really, what I want to make sure we mention, because I didn't know this necessarily was an option though, but people that are watching this video or will see this later might be in another state. They might be in
Yeah.
another city or whatever. Is
Yeah.
there an option for them to reach out to you and still be helped or go through a
Oh,
lesson or anything like that via video?
absolutely. We do. I actually do right now. I do like whether it's a reading or a yoga class or meditation. Like I do a lot of that online as it is now. So like whether we don't have to be present in this studio to have a yoga class or learn yoga or have an energy session. Like the energy can be sent distantly. It doesn't have to be just in person.
Oh, awesome.
And we run it when I do it. I imagine as if you are here, right? So it is a really cool experience, whether you're physically here or you're someplace else. You can still get the same benefits from it. And I do it all the time now with clients as it is. So
All right,
yeah,
so
it's that. Thanks. That's a great idea. Thanks for bringing that up.
no, so, yeah, so people could be individuals, or now if they have friends. So this is what I know about yoga. I've only done
Yep.
it once, and it hurt
Yep.
like me. And I consider myself relatively athletic, but
Right.
stretching is not what we do enough of. So
No.
I find that people like to go with a friend or friends.
Mhm.
So in the
Yep.
same vein, whether someone's calling you to come to your studio, or
Yep.
if they were to try and do an online,
Yep.
is it possible to do with like if I have a friend that I want
Oh
to
yeah.
bring and all that?
Oh yeah, we do that too. I also go to corporate, like I do corporate events, so I'll go to certain corporations and do stuff. Like there, like certain addiction centers and stuff like that. We'll be doing stuff with too. Just to again, it's just teaching people that you have the ability to do this, right? Everybody can do this. This is just something I've been doing for a really long time. And it's funny you say too, Pash. Like I was a sports person, right? And they never taught us to stretch appropriately, right?
No.
That's why I had so many injuries in sports, right?
Mhm.
And so like I laugh because like you see everybody out there and I see people that I know, or even like the construction guys, right? And it's like, come in for a yoga class. You don't have to touch your toes. We got blocks, we have props. Like, don't worry, we got you covered. But it's still learning to stretch your body,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Again, like you have this, people have this opinion like of what yoga is. And yes, yoga is a thing, right? But it can be different. And there's so many different modalities of yoga too, you know? So yeah.
Right. Awesome. Yeah. No, and I also think you told me about, I know you as a person, like as your heart. I'm pretty sure you said something to me about that for some organizations, and like you've done events, where you just voluntarily just teach people how to do it, just
Yep.
because you're that kind of a person. You're like a
Yeah.
giving soul. And you also, I think, as a business person, have kind of seen when you just give, like you said about the universe, you give it, guess what comes back, right?
Right. Right. And yeah, like we did some free classes at the Palmyra Community Library, right? So, and we offer, like, we have some pay what you can classes in person here. But even our retreat, like if somebody's having difficulties or struggling financially, reach out to me. To me, I'd rather, I want to make this accessible to everybody, right? As much as I can. And like, as like, whether it's in person or online. So I always say, like, I work with each person individually. So yeah, just please don't hesitate to reach out if that's something that somebody needs. We're here to help. And the other thing is with my network of people that I know, if there's something that somebody's looking for, just because I don't do it doesn't mean I don't know somebody that does. We do day retreats here. I actually refer clients to people all the time because I may not do acupuncture, but I have somebody who I trust that does acupuncture, you know? And so it's like having that network of holistic healers, whether it's in the herbal world or the oil world or massage or any of it, right? Like, because massage is also healing, you know? So it's like, there's people that I have, I like to call my team, that I refer people to, because it's important to have good people on your side. And we need it. Like healers need healing too. I always say that, like we need it just as much as everybody else.
Right. Correct. All right. So before we go to our Connect 4, where you got to answer some questions, anything else that you want to throw out there before we do that?
No, I honestly thank you guys so much for this. I think this is super cool that you're doing it. Cause again, to me, community is so important, which is the Sangha, right? Like the community that I have here has become my family, and I care about them just as I do my family. So it's just important to me that we do this and we share this and we let people know that here are some opportunities or people that we know in this world that do this, or this, because people just may not have any idea where to start.
Yeah. I think
So
that's
thank
why
you.
that you're welcome. And thank you for saying that. That means a lot to us.
Awesome.
I think that's what was our initiative was, and who are like we're just a one or two people, right? But
Right.
that one or two people can affect and help other people. And that could be a countless number of people to just what I found over the past year and a half since I've switched my transition into life, my career, all that is that a lot of people just don't know what's right around them to help them. That's what the whole idea of this show is about. So appreciate the words. So with that being said, Connect Four. If I had a sound effect, I put in Connect Four. So, all right, here we go.
Okay. All right, I'm ready.
What is it? Me? What? What is your guilty pleasure TV show?
So we were laughing because I'm like, oh my gosh, we don't watch a ton of TV. So True Detective is one, which I think like is probably older and like an older show, but it's like whatever. I love it. And then Yellowstone. I mean, I think everybody watches Yellowstone. If you haven't checked it out, check it out.
Agreed. All right, question number 2. What book or podcast are you going through right now?
So Glowworthy by Katie Silcox. So it's really about loving yourself where we are, like broken, beautiful, and sacred. And that's something that's super important to me because like sometimes some of us feel so broken and alone, but the reality is you're perfect just where you are. And yes, we all have healing that we can do, but I want people to understand that like it doesn't make you bad. It's just everybody has something in them that we all need to work on. And so we're just here to help share that. And that's what it's about. It's like just realizing your sacredness in that brokenness.
That's awesome. Now, is that a book or a podcast?
That's a book. She's actually like, she's the teacher at where I learned my Ayurvedics from, the Shakti school. So she wrote a book and like she's wrote a couple books, but yeah, it's like a really good one.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Carrie. What is your superpower? And as a reminder, this is for our listeners. This is something that you just naturally do better than anybody else. It's not like flying or invisibility, but like in the real world, what do you naturally do better than anybody else, and what's your superpower?
Listen to my intuition, right? Like, which is my superpower, because to me, like, so many people could have told me, don't leave your job. You make this money, and if I wouldn't have like trusted myself and had the people that were supporting me behind me saying like, you can do this, I never would have taken that transition or that chance. And so, or I would have maybe let people skew me. Right. And so at the end of the day, like listening to myself and finding when it was right for me, not when everybody else thought it was right, is important. And to me, everything that I do is followed by my gut and my intuition and what I feel guided to do.
Awesome. and there's a lot of grateful people that you did it. So, all right, question number 4.
Yes.
All right. So we all have habits. What is one habit that you would like to improve on? So you do think of this as like in a self-improvement, idea.
Yeah.
Is there something what would you improve about yourself?
Self-care in general, right? Like, even as I'm telling you guys, it's for myself too. Like when I could be taking clients all day long and it feels great, but like, am I taking time to go to the gym? Am I taking time to meditate? Am I going and getting acupuncture, right? Like I said it earlier, like healers need healing too. So it's making sure that I'm taking care of my mind, body, and soul just as much as I'm helping other people take care of theirs.
Yeah.
So you're good at it. Like I do it, but it's more about being consistent. And like, because I'm coming from that corporate job, it's finding that new normal. Like, what does that look like now in my 9 to 5, not 9 to 5?
Right. Exactly. That's a good point. Well, that's your Connect 4 and you connected 4. Hey, nice. So I guess on that note, though, we definitely appreciate you coming on the show and letting us highlight you. And you continue to do the great work that you're doing with folks in our community. And hopefully this helps that message get out there and help more folks as well.
Yes. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate the time. It was really awesome. And you guys made it so easy. So anyone who's like coming on that you guys do a great job. So thank you.
Oh, that was very kind of you. Thank you so much. So with that being said, we're going to kick you out now.
Bye.
Thank you very much again. All right. So Gerwin, with
Patch.
that, we had a great conversation with Carrie there.
Loved it. Loved it.
yeah.
I'm gonna have to set a reminder on my calendar going forward because
Yeah.
that really did not take any time at all, and
No.
definitely helped. I could feel a difference just in it and even immediately after it. So that breathing exercise was cool.
I think that is an example of a few times we covered. Carrie even said it herself, right there at the end. We are so worried about other people, especially empathic people. I don't know if that's a real term or whatever, but where you're all about feelings and all that. You think of people. We do that, and if you're a parent or you have a spouse, you have your parents, whoever you're giving care to, you do that first, and you sometimes forget about yourself. And I think that's the real big takeaway I got. And obviously, this is one of the major ways that we can help. That is through the offerings of Radiant You Wellness and Carrie. So with that, is there anything else we should, before we close out, anything else we should hit? Topic? Oh.
Like, share,
yes.
Wherever it is. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Send us feedback. This is as much. It's more for you all, but it's as much for you all as it is for us. I'm learning a ton. So people, things you want to hear about, send them our way. But the best thing you can do is share this with your friends as well.
Yes, and I'll just add one other point to that. Thank you. I always forget that part. But I've had one person do this already. So if you, now I'm talking to you, who the viewer right now, if you think you have something that needs to be connected community-wise, right? It could be you that ought to. Don't think that it's selfish or anything like that. You may have something that others wish they knew was available. So reach out to us and we'll have a discussion about that. So,
absolutely.
All right. So we will see everyone next Thursday. We'll figure out the time as we go, but next Thursday on the 21st, we'll see everybody. Have a happy St. Patrick's Day. Be safe, and we'll see you next week.
Happy Pi Day, everybody.
Happy Pi Day.